Light does not vanish. It softens. It bends. It becomes shadow. And shadow is not darkness. It is memory of light. I sit in a quiet room. The sun is low, casting long shapes across the floor. The wall glows with fading gold. The chair beside me holds a shadow, not empty, not cold, but full of presence. Between light and shadow, something lives. It is not silence. It is not sound. It is warmth. The warmth between worlds whispers. You are not one or the other. You are both. I breathe slowly. My breath moves through light, through shadow, through memory. I realize transitions are not endings. They are invitations. Light does not fight shadow. Shadow does not erase light. They hold each other. I think of Yulia, of the moments when her face is half lit, half shadowed, when her presence is both near and distant, when love lives not in clarity, but in the space between. I think of my family, of evenings when the room is dim, when laughter fades into quiet, when the warmth remains even after the light is gone. Between light and shadow, we are still together. Between clarity and mystery, we are still present. I think of my creative work. The videos I make, the scripts I write, they live in this space. Not fully seen, not fully hidden. They are whispers. They are echoes. They are warmth. I think of my studies, of the laboratory. Even there, light and shadow dance. The instruments reflect, absorb, reveal. Learning is not only in brightness. It is also in quiet shade. The warmth between worlds becomes a teacher. It tells me, do not choose, do not divide. You are the bridge. I let the light fade. I let the shadow grow. I do not resist. I do not rush. I sit in the middle, in the warmth, in the presence. Between light and shadow, I find myself. Between worlds, I belong. Words are bridges. They carry meaning. They connect hearts. They shape memory. But silence is also a bridge. It carries presence without sound. It connects without explanation. It shapes trust without speech. Between word and silence, something lives. It is not emptiness. It is not noise. It is presence. I sit in the quiet room. A sentence forms in my mind, but I do not speak it. I let it rest in silence. And I realize silence is not the absence of words. It is the space that gives them meaning. The warmth between worlds whispers. Do not fear silence. It is also language. I breathe slowly. Each breath feels like a pause, a comma, a rhythm. I realize silence is not interruption. It is continuation. It is the unseen half of every word. Silence is not empty. It is filled with words unspoken, with meanings unshared, with presence. I think of Yulia, of the times when silence between us is not distance, but closeness, when her eyes speak more than her voice, when her presence fills a room without sound. Between word and silence, love lives. I think of my family, of evenings when we sit together, sometimes speaking, sometimes quiet. The silence is not absence. It is belonging. It is the warmth that does not need words. The silence becomes a teacher. It tells me, do not measure connection only by speech. Presence is also silence. I think of my creative work. The videos I make, the scripts I write, they too live between word and silence. The pauses, the breaths, the spaces are not empty. They are meaning. They are presence. I think of my studies, of the laboratory. Even there, silence exists. Between explanations, between discoveries, between lessons. Silence is not ignorance. It is waiting. It is presence. Between word and silence, I find balance. Between sound and stillness, I find myself. There is a space between us. It is not distance, not emptiness. It is presence. It is a quiet bridge where self meets other, where I meet you, where love becomes visible. Between self and you, something lives. It is not silence. It is not sound. It is connection. I sit in the quiet room. My thoughts move toward you, even when you are not here. The air feels different, as if carrying your presence. And I realize you are not far. You live in the space between. The warmth between worlds whispers, you are not alone. You are already connected. I breathe slowly. Each breath feels like a thread, weaving me to you, weaving silence into closeness. I realize connection is not only in touch or words, it is in presence. It is in the unseen bond that silence reveals. Silence is not empty. It is filled with you, with me, with us. I think of Yulia, of the times when silence between us is not separation, but intimacy, when her presence fills me even without sound, when her warmth reaches me even across distance. Between self and you, love lives. I think of my family, of evenings when we sit together, sometimes speaking, sometimes quiet. The bond is not in words alone. It is in the silence we share, the presence we carry. The silence becomes a teacher. It tells me, do not measure closeness by distance. Connection is already here. I think of my creative work. The videos I make, the scripts I write, they too live between self and you. They are offerings, bridges, ways of saying, I am here with you. I think of my studies, of the laboratory. Even there, connection exists. Between teacher and student, between colleague and colleague, between silence and discovery. Presence is not only in knowledge, it is in trust. Between self and you, I find belonging. Between presence and silence, I find love. Thought is a seed. Action is its growth. But between them lies silence, a pause, a waiting, a space where possibility breathes. Between thought and action, something lives. It is not emptiness. It is not delay. It is preparation. I sit in the quiet room. Ideas move through me like shadows, like sparks. They are not yet spoken, not yet done. They rest in silence, waiting for the moment to become real. The warmth between worlds whispers, do not rush, do not fear. The pause is part of creation. I breathe slowly. Each breath feels like a bridge, carrying me from imagination to movement. I realize action is not separate from thought. It is born from silence, from waiting, from presence. Silence is not empty. It is filled with thought, with readiness, with presence. I think of Yulia, of the times when words form in my heart before they reach my lips. The silence between thought and action is not distance. It is tenderness. It is love preparing to be spoken. I think of my family, of evenings when plans are imagined but not yet lived. The silence is not hesitation. It is trust. It is the warmth of knowing that action will come. The silence becomes a teacher. It tells me, do not measure life only by movement. Waiting is also part of becoming. I think of my creative work. The videos I make, the scripts I write, they live in this space. Between thought and action, silence shapes them. It gives them rhythm, depth, meaning. I think of my studies, of the laboratory. Even there, silence exists. Between hypothesis and experiment, between idea and discovery, the pause is not failure. It is presence. Between thought and action, I find patience. Between silence and movement, I find myself. Home is not only a place. It is a feeling, a rhythm, a presence. Journey is not only movement. It is discovery, change, becoming. And between them lies silence, a pause where belonging and longing meet. Between home and journey, something lives. It is not emptiness. It is not distance. It is transition. I sit in the quiet room. My bag rests by the door. Waiting, the air carries both comfort and anticipation. I realize I am both here and already on the way. The warmth between worlds whispers, do not divide yourself. You are both home and journey. I breathe slowly. Each breath feels like a step, a return, a departure. I realize home is not left behind. It travels with me. Journey is not only forward, it carries me back. Silence is not empty. It is filled with belonging, with movement, with presence. I think of Yulia, of the times when we speak of journeys yet to come, of places we will see, of rituals we will create. Even when we are at home, the journey lives in us. Even when we are far, home remains. I think of my family, of evenings when a house is quiet, when someone leaves, when someone returns. The silence between home and journey is not loss. It is continuity. It is love carried across distance. The silence becomes a teacher. It tells me, do not fear departure. Home is already within you. I think of my creative work. The videos I make, the scripts I write, they too are journeys. They begin at home, in silence, and travel outward, carrying presence to others. I think of my studies, of the laboratory. Even there, journey exists. Each experiment is a departure, each discovery a return. Home is not only a place. It is the presence that remains. Between home and journey, I find balance. Between belonging and becoming, I find myself.